Hey, love bugs. It's Dr. Ashley Greer talking to you today about codependency. This is one of several days of our chats about codependency and the way that everyday codependency shows up in your life. As we've been talking about, everyday codependency is really a different animal than the way that codependency is talked about in psychological terms. I'm Dr. Ashley Greer. I'm a former psychologist turned hell yes life coach. I help women get through people pleasing, through living for other people's happiness, finally putting themselves first, and realize that when they put themselves first, they can affect a ripple of happiness and opportunity and love through the world, not by fixing it, but by helping themselves to the happiness and the joy that they always are trying to give other people. As I said, I'm a former psychologist, so I'm well acquainted with the way that the psychological machine talks about codependency. It talks about codependency often in the terms of toxic relationships, narcissism, alcoholism, all of that kind of stuff, right? That's how I learned about it initially. That's what most of the big books talk about codependency in terms of. This is not that kind of codependency. This is what I call everyday codependency. This is the kind of codependency that women are basically indoctrinated with, conditioned with, because of the patriarchy, because women are taught to take care of everything at the end of the day, to put other people's needs above their own, and to really focus on other people's happiness, and taught that it's shameful and you should feel guilty if you put your own happiness first. And this is something that I believe, I foundationally and fundamentally believe that we have to break in order to be able to live a life that brings us joy, because the more that we exude joy, the more others around us feel joy. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about how control is involved with codependency. And I talked about this a little bit in another video, but I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, about this concept that basically codependency, everyday codependency, the way that I talk about it, is this idea of a coping mechanism. A coping mechanism is just a fancy word for a way that we learn to deal with the world, right? Like, we grew up in a circumstance which taught us certain ways of dealing with the world, which taught us certain ways of trying to understand how to get our needs met. And when we're children, we just do it in whatever way is quickest, right? We take whatever shortcuts we can find in order to get there. And so as children, we develop this habit of basically trying to do whatever we can to make sure we get the love and positive regard and unconditional love, although it's not usually unconditional, unfortunately. The world generally doesn't have a good, grasp on unconditional love, but that's another topic. We try to get our needs met, our needs for worthiness, our needs for belonging, our needs for deservedness, all of these things in whatever way, shape, or form we can. And as children, this looks like we try to please other people. We try to be the good girl. We try to get good grades. We try to be quiet. We try to not be too much. We try to, make other people laugh. We try to not stick our neck out too far. We try to not be too opinionated. I mean, all of these things are the way that women in particular are indoctrinated and conditioned within our society, within our culture. But here's the thing with control that's really interesting, is what it's foundationally about. And you'll find this in yourself and in a lot of your girlfriends if you sit and talk about it, is many women in particular have issues with needing to control other people, needing to control the minutia in order to feel as though their life is not chaotic. What the minutia looks like is the way the towels are folded. It looks like correcting people's grammar. What it looks like is making sure that other people act exactly based upon your expectations, or you feel the need to push them away. Now, in another one of these days, in one of these series, we're going to talk a lot about that pushing people away and boundaries versus walls, because that's a very important concept. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is this: basically, you're feeling an addiction to control, because when you feel like you have control, even of the minutia in life, even of the little things in life, even if it's of your schedule, even if it's of the way, what your kids have for lunch, or even if it's of your I don't know, your husband putting his socks in the laundry or something, you feel as though your life will not descend into chaos, and so you feel safe. And you feel as though you're more likely to get your needs met. Unfortunately, this works backwards. This works totally backwards, because the more controlling we get, the more we try to force people to conform to our specific expectations, the more we end up getting angry and frustrated about the things that we're not actually angry and frustrated about. If you dug really deep, you would discover that you're not actually that pissed off about the way the towels are folded, right? What you're pissed off about is the feeling that it's unsafe to be yourself and that you feel unloved and disrespected when other people don't conform to what it is you feel as though you need to control in order to feel safe. So you feel disrespected and unloved when other people don't conform to what it is you need in order to feel safe, in order to feel safe, in order to feel loved, in order to feel all those things. And so you're not really upset about the towels not getting folded right. You're not really upset about your friend showing up 10 minutes late to lunch. You're not really upset about, your kids leaving dishes in the sink. What you're upset at is about the foundational sense of disrespect and the fear that that means that you're unloved. You see, when we're upset about little things like, I know I'm riding on the towels being folded, but that was one of those things growing up that was very specific. We had to fold the towels a certain way. And I know a lot of women who are like that, you gotta fold the towel, I'll just do the laundry myself because the towels need to be folded a certain way. Do they really? Who looks in the closet at the way the towels are folded? Except for you. And so is this really about you needing the towels to be folded a certain way? Or is it about if they fold it wrong, you feel unloved and unworthy, and so it's easier for you to control it and do it yourself? Or, and this is the third option, is it about you martyring yourself so that you can show everyone how good you are, how worthy you are, how essential you are, because I'm the only one who can fold the towels right. None of you guys can get this right. None of you guys support me. And so I now feel like a martyr. I now feel as though I can prove, A, how worthy I am by, all the stuff that I sacrifice and all the stuff that I do for all of you guys. That sense of needing to fix other people's happiness, make everybody else happy. But it's not always about making them happy. A lot of times it's about what do I sacrifice to prove to the world that I'm worthy of being happy myself. I mean, how many moms do we know who go I'm not a mom, so I want to just own that up front, but how many women do we know in general who go overboard on little things like, you go to your friend's party and they cooked something that took them 2 hours, and it's like, why? So you can impress everybody and feel worthy because you came through with showing how busy you are, how awesome you are, how put together you are, what a good girl you are, what a martyr you are, to show everybody else how worthy you are. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to ultimately prove your deservingness. You don't ultimately have to earn being lovable. You just are. You just are lovable in virtue of existing, in virtue of being who you are. And that's the truth of the matter. And it's by owning that you begin to move through a lot of this stuff and feel less susceptible to the sense that I have to work this codependent coping mechanism in order to get my needs met, in order to feel important enough, in order to feel deserving. All right, so that's enough for today because I could go off about this all day, as you can tell. This month in the Abundance Revolution is all about codependency. It's about the patterns. It's about how to recognize it in yourself. It's about how to understand how it impacts every single relationship in your life, including your relationship to money, to your business, to your clients, to abundance, to your desires, to everything. And we're going to talk about how to start getting over it, how to start moving through it, how to start recovering from it, because it's essentially something that we kind of recover from. We break that habit, we break that habitual way of coping, and learn that there's much, much easier ways of getting our needs met. So that's my low-cost membership. You can see it in the comments or in the little description box. The Abundance Revolution. I advise you to join now before the price goes up in just a few days, because what you get for the price is ridiculous, and it's the only way to work with me right now, except for one-on-one coaching, one-on-one mentorship, which is, I'm just gonna be honest, it's amazing, my one-on-one mentorship, because your life will never be the same. It's light speed progress. It's light speed revolutionary change. You will finally uncover the, as my clients actually like to say, the pot brownie effect in your life. I'm not feeding anybody pot brownies. Don't worry. That's not at all part of what I do with my clients. It's this aura of I'm finally so happy with myself and with my life that people would swear I'm eating pot brownies. That's literally a testimonial that one of my clients wrote me. And that's the pot brownie of effect, is basically what my clients experience. They feel the light streaming into their life when they finally learn to put themselves first without guilt, without shame, without a sense that they're undeserving of it. All right. I hope to see you there. Until next time. Love you. Please share, please comment, please like, and I'll see you soon. All right. Bye.